My first camera I found in a cab on New Year's Eve when I was in college. Some people say that things fall into your lap, but this fell under my lap. After doing IVF and fighting so hard to be pregnant, to actually go in and have a reduction, how do you mourn the loss of one while celebrating the potential life of another? Why do you have a photographer for a bris? But in a year, in 2 years, in 3 years, those photos they just get more and more valuable, and you'll never regret taking an extra photo.
Welcome to the Jewish Link Pitch Meeting Podcast. I have with us a very special guest, someone who I'm just as likely to run into at the dance floor of a bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah, wedding. Abbie Sophia of Abbie Sophia Photography. I guess give me the full business name, Abbie.
Abbie Sophia Photography, you got it.
Okay. So I've known Abbie for probably 10, 15, 20 years. I also have to say that I'm looking at the person who is responsible for the best Kinderlehrer family picture. Okay. So, which is, I want to say thank you on camera. And the truth is, so I'm just saying, you're ready because you made the best picture of ours. I'm already inclined to like you. But the truth is, you are someone who has succeeded, or I see you at many events, many local bar mitzvahs. I know a little bit about you, but just tell us a little bit about Abbie Sophia. Tell us a little about where you started, how you broke in, and so on.
Sure. So Abbie, before I was a photographer, I was just Abbie. Everyone knows me as Abbie Sophia. But I actually started as a social worker. That was my first profession, and I'd say
you are far from social work.
Yeah. Well, photography is a lot like social work, so it's amazing. And how I got started, my first camera I found in a cab on New Year's Eve when I was in college. I say, some people say that things fall into your lap, but this fell under my lap. I was sitting on it, and I took it out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, someone's camera. And I tried to find the owner, but could not. And that was when I was in Stern, and at the time, Stern was still doing the 5th year free program, where I got an extra year in college, and I took Photoshop and photography, and I had this camera, and I took it, backpacking all over Europe with it. And then, after I became a social worker, I was living in the apartments here in Teaneck, and there was another photographer, David Steinberg, and he was moving, and he's like, why don't you take over you have a camera. Someone bought me another camera that was really nice. And I was like, okay. And he brought me on a photo shoot, and he paid me $60. I'm like, oh, I could take this to Schnitzel Plus, and it's like so fun to be with other people and to give back in this way.
So it wasn't the photography, it was the social aspect, or it was
everything. It was like a creative outlet, being with people, making people happy. And at the time, Facebook wasn't regulated. So anytime anyone posted anything on Facebook, everyone saw. So if I had 5,000 friends, I would post one picture and everyone would see it. Now it's very hard to be seen on Facebook.
Agreed.
But I came at the perfect time that, I started posting photo shoots and people started asking, and it was
How many years ago
storm.
was this? What time frame are we talking about?
I think about 11, 12 years ago is when I started. I was a social worker and then photography on the side. And then I quit by the time I got pregnant, which took me a while to get pregnant. I didn't want to clock in anymore at a job. And I was like, oh.
Wait, so you're telling me Abbie Sophia is really only 10 years old, almost as old as your son? Wow. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. I did not know that. I actually thought you'd been around for 15, 20 years. I didn't realize that. So that's good. That's good for you.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize. Did you have any struggles in terms of breaking in? Was it really just that easy, posting on Facebook, and then people started calling? Was it so simple?
Well, the first 20 shoots I'd say I did for free, and I did so many free shoots over the years just to try and break in and get my name out there. But the truth is, I wasn't really trying so hard. I was like, if it comes, it comes. Obviously, the pricing, the market is saturated with photographers, but at the end of the day, Facebook and then later Instagram became a place where you meet people, you trust them, you hear them, you see their photos, you see other people posting photos, and you're like, oh, if those people use that person, she must be trustworthy. So it was like a slow, long process. But when I first started, I already had another job, so the pressure was kind of off. But when I quit my other job, then it was, then I'm like, as long as I made what I made as a social worker, I'll be okay. And that wasn't so hard.
I like what you said about photography being akin to social work, because in a sense, I realize you are actually managing people within the framework. I always like to joke the Jewish Link is we're like a real estate game, a space game every week. But in a sense, you're within one event, you are kind of managing that family. Certainly with I guess with the with the stage pictures. Not just so much dancing pictures, but you are really managing this family. And actually, I'm sure you've seen. Families, either high points and probably even low points. I know that smachot bring out the best and the worst sometimes.
Yeah. It's always the best. But I have to get to know right away who's important, who do I follow, which pictures they want, which they don't want. A lot of people, I always say, like, they come to me and they expect me to know everything that's going on, but every person has different needs and wants. And so really, in social work, they say, meet the client where they are. Same thing in photography. Every situation is different, and honestly, it's a lot of smachot, but a lot of times also I'll take pictures, and then later the families will come and they'll say, these are the last photos we have of them. This was a really special time. This was so meaningful, and I feel really a part of that as well. The sad times too.
Do you ever get to feel that? I get that they sometimes come to you later and they tell you that. Do you ever get to feel that in the moment? Do you get to feel like, oh my God, this is a picture that's literally worth like $1 million or 1 million words or something? Do you ever?
Yeah. I have been done photo shoots where they know people are going to pass away and they want to have these last photos with them. I did an amazing bris where I got a picture of the baby during the bris. It was, I think, during COVID. COVID brought out the most amazing photos because it put you in different situations and scenarios. And behind the baby was a picture of the grandfather who he was named after. And it was like the most amazing photo. But yeah, it's just really tuning into those family moments, and in the moment, a lot of people also, as like the photographer, the trusted person that's there, they have to know all the different things going on, so they'll tell me personal things, and I'll be able to work that into the photo shoot.
Yeah, that's amazing. You mentioned COVID. For me, the most powerful picture of COVID was on Purim night, 2 members of the Chabad community shaking hands. They were both dead a week later.
Oh my God.
And I'm looking, and I just thought about that picture, and you realize, like, at that moment, they maybe they got each other sick or something. It was just, to me, it was the most powerful image from the Jewish community in COVID. And I'm just, something I've known is how powerful pictures are. In a sense, are you a photographer searching for just every event, get that power picture with the most emotion, the most intensity?
Actually, for me, COVID was a very hard time in the beginning because I was like, no, I thought no one would ever take pictures again. For some reason, everyone canceled, and I had nothing. And I was like, I had my family. I was home with my family, but it was such an identity crisis. And one of my clients now, friends, she was like, she told me, you're documenting history, and she brought me for her bar mitzvah. And she said I did such a special thing just by putting a camera in this boy's face, just making him feel so important, because for so many months we couldn't be together. And that it's crazy how I've evolved from 10, 15 years ago, you're right, to just realizing it's so important just to document history. And that really changed things for me.
Wait, so you're saying they canceled, but they still wanted you to take pictures? I mean, families cancel. I made a COVID bar mitzvah. We canceled obviously everything, but we didn't. You're saying that people still wanted family shots, family pictures. It was
everything started canceling, and then by April, I remember 1 weekend in April, I had a wedding, a bar mitzvah, and an engagement on it was in New York City on one of the fire escapes. It all happened at once, and then everyone started waking up and being like, oh, we can still have a photographer. I shot, brises through windows, door photos. I wore a mask for so many months. But then they started realizing they could have a photographer and that it was important to document.
Yeah, wow. Okay, well. I just have to ask, do you feel any challenges being a woman, in what I traditionally, for me, the photographer was always a man. Have you seen any of that? Have you felt any of that? Especially in the Orthodox world, obviously I know in the secular world it's not the same.
Definitely a lot of challenges. I'm like an accidental photographer. I never thought I would be a photographer, so I came into this with no expectations.
But you're past that now, though.
Yeah.
So now you weren't now, but you're a professional photographer. Yeah.
I mean, there's still situations I'm still learning, and it's amazing to feel that. There's been a few times at brises where I've had to not go so close and be on the men's side, but a lot of these things could have been like cleared before, check with the rabbi. Some bar mitzvahs, they've told me I have to stay on the women's side. And then, going to dancing circles, I'm very hesitant. If it's just me, I try to hire a male photographer. Mm-hmm. It's just the facts. But and then getting hit in those circles, they're crazy in there.
Yes. Have you ever been injured seriously on the job? I know many photographers who tell me they hurt their knees and ankles. So have you ever had?
I've gotten. Me and the Schnitzel guys, we have to watch out for each other because we always joke. Like one time I got an elbow to the camera on my face, but I've had my fair share. One time I fell. I was taking pictures and I rolled off a stage and I rolled my ankle. But the whole bar mitzvah I stayed strong. It was very painful. And then just being a mom, when I first started, my kids were little. I was having babies and I was able to really balance just because they were so little. They didn't need me as much, and now it is a struggle to be there all the time for them when I have to work.
So you're a young mom. I think we talked about this before. I think about 10 years ago, you posted, it's something that you're known for in the community, mm-hmm. As someone who's very public with facing the challenge of infertility. Mm-hmm. Tell me about it. Tell us about it.
So I was married for a few years and wasn't able to get pregnant naturally. So I went to Dr. Levine.
The famous doctor.
Famous, he's amazing. And they really helped me. I have 4 beautiful children. But at the time, I felt so alone, surrounded with people having babies. I was never angry or jealous, but I wanted a baby. And I found, for some reason, my friend Amanda Lipchick, she started a blog called The Fruit Market. And I was like, I want to post about it. I want to post, because everyone would ask, when are you having kids? I'm like, and eventually I was like, I'm doing fertility treatment, so I'll let you know. Mm-hmm. And usually when you answer the truth back like that, they're like, oh, you didn't have to tell me that much, but people are asking. So I posted a blog post about my secret, not so secret, and my journey with infertility, and it was amazing. The feedback was incredible. Also the time when everyone was sharing stuff, and I got over 500 shares of that one article, and then, over the next few years, doing IVF, having miscarriages. I had a twin pregnancy that I had to terminate one baby. It was very traumatic. I just found that sharing brought so much to the community, because every time, for some reason, in the non-Jewish community, it was a lot more shared, but in the Jewish community, it was a lot more secret. And I found that people just really benefited from it, and I benefited from it. So.
It's always shocking to me that why it's so secret in our community, especially because we are so kid focused. Mm-hmm. Meaning everyone wants to have a family of 2, 3, 4, 5 kids. I don't know why there's I guess almost like a stigma of some kind. Mm-hmm. I'm not even sure the right word to use.
I think because it has to do with intimate things in people's life that your mind goes there, and people are embarrassed. Whereas
in the secular world, even though there's less of that embarrassment stigma.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I feel like there's been a lot of change in our community, but still, mm-hmm. I guess you're right. That's still the intimacy idea. Yeah. I think you're probably right. You said you just spoke on a panel recently mm-hmm. over Pesach. So tell us what that was like. Did you? I'm saying. Who was on this panel? Tell us a little bit about that panel.
Amy Barron, she has I Was Supposed to Have a Baby Instagram.
Sure.
Incredible. And Lizzie Savetsky also went through a lot of fertility mm-hmm. struggles. And it was us, and it was amazing. We didn't really focus, the focus could have been about how posting and being public affected our everything, but it really was just about our stories. My story is actually, it's very sad for people. I'm very used to it. So now talking about it, it could bring me back, but my second pregnancy, my second one was a miscarriage. My third pregnancy with IVF, I was supposed to have twins, and I had to terminate one due to a neural tube defect in spina bifida. And then it was a whole long journey. I ended up hospitalized, but just going through the motions of, even though we talk so much about infertility and IVF, I never spoke about or knew about it's called a reduction. So when you terminate one child but still are pregnant with another, mm-hmm. And it was after doing IVF and fighting so hard to be pregnant to actually go in and have a reduction. It was necessary, but it was around 16, 17 weeks of pregnancy. So
you don't want to give up that twin. You don't want to. The whole idea of just I have two possible babies. Okay.
I worked so hard, and I'm an identical twin myself. I have a twin sister, but it was emotionally I just remember thinking I want to start over. how could this pregnancy be good? How do you mourn the loss of one while celebrating the potential life of another? And then I ended up also at 31 weeks in the hospital with a placental abruption. It was a long journey, and also affected my business. First of all, showing up immensely pregnant to any job.
I remember that. That when you went. That was a bunch of years you showed up at pregnant.
People are like, "Oh, are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm fine. I'm strong." But then I did have, sometimes your health gets in the way, and I did have to send other photographers and cancel on some people because I was hospitalized, which, all I wanted to do was get out of the hospital and go to work, but I had to bring it back and refocus. But it did teach me how to bring an assistant, because from then on I had to always have an assistant because it was dangerous for me to work alone. And I really think after that struggle, it brought my photography to the next level. So there's always blessings.
Well, going through those challenges brought your photography to the next level.
Yeah.
What, just by being forced to an assistant? What, being more conscious? Being more what brought it to the next level?
Just the quality of my work, having an assistant there to help me. Carry a light around, even having an assistant that could help me look for other things going on in the events that I wouldn't necessarily notice. And then I feel like any hardship, it just helps you connect more with people and see people, bring you back down to everyone's level, everyone's going through something.
You're almost like a rabbi. You have to go to so many events, so the kids are at home and they're relatively young. So I'm just saying, how do you manage it, or are you able to manage it? Do you feel like you manage it well?
It's really hard. What I found now, the community is amazing, but I have to hire a lot of help. And I am really trying. I'm working with a lot of therapists. Dr. Lazar, she's amazing, and just quality over quantity sometimes. But it does still make me a better photographer because I show up to people's events and I know how amazing it is to be at home with my family and my family values, but I'm there and they're relying on me to document every moment that they need and want and love. And I'm accountable. I'm held accountable for every shot. But
I like that line because in many ways I feel like in the digital era, we take so many pictures, it's almost like each snap is kind of devalued, but you're kind of saying that you're accountable for every shot. It just changes the whole perspective. It reminds me of the older days when people didn't take 1 million shots, when you didn't take 1,000 shots. You really tried hard to make every shot count. I don't know.
Had 30 pictures.
Correct. And it was because of what I'm saying. Photographers had different. I'm just again. We came of age kind of more in the digital era. I'm a little older, but I still remember the Kodak days, the film development days. But I'm just saying.
My last year in high school, I took a photography class with film, and I remember I opened it up and I ruined the whole film.
Right.
It looks cool. It was gave it a cool edge, but yeah. So it is hard not to you have so much unlimited space. I do try and still take 1 million photos, but really quality also over quantity. And yeah, when you look back at the gallery, you're going to see where I am at every moment. So
you see these people's lives at such a intimate, special moment for so many. If you think about it, you're entering every family's life at the most important moments of their life. Do you have any good anecdotes, any good takeaways?
When I first started, also now that I'm doing, some of my bar mitzvahs are getting engaged, getting married. It's mind blowing to me because I never thought I would be. I don't even know it. I just entered this world of photography and I had no expectations, right? So it's amazing to see these kids grow up. So that
13-year-old, that 12-year-old bar mitzvah from 8, 9, 10 years ago, when you're at their engagement parties, at their weddings, so you get a personal sense of nachas as well.
Yeah, it's amazing. We spend a few hours together, but I get to know them every photo shoot. And for me also, it's so nice that these people trusted me when I first was beginning. I didn't really know what I was doing.
You only say that. You only say that now, of course. You didn't say that.
I did. But no, when you first people hire a new photographer, they know it's still also a learning process for everybody. But I knew what I was doing, but not in this next level. But we were just new together.
I did not realize that. I think I was involved. I didn't realize you were that new only 7, 8, 9 years ago. I didn't realize that. So I'm just telling you a compliment to you that you came across like someone who more senior, someone with more experience. So tell anything about photography that, the people should know, or just, the people don't know, but I always ask questions, about, what we do. People is there something about photography that's unique? Is there just something that you want people to know about photography,
Yeah. First of all, find the good light. That's always important.
Yeah.
But also on the same level, like when nothing's gonna be perfect. So a lot of us, I'm really the most critical. Like I'll be the worst client because I am very critical of how I look, but photos get better with age. So for example, when you have someone for a bris, it could seem so silly. Why do you have a photographer for a bris? But in a year, in 2 years, in 3 years, those photos they just get more and more valuable, and you'll never regret taking an extra photo. I
have to agree with that, and I think you're absolutely right. And we had debates about, for a bris, for example, about the need for a professional photographer. And I think you're right. In the moment, it doesn't seem that important, but 5 years later, like of course we should. We need to have these pictures. I agree 100%.
Yeah. At the same time, I come to a lot of weddings, and now I shoot a lot of weddings also, and I do think that we've put so much pressure on photography that it's kind of turned into like just a long photo shoot, and I don't really agree with that. I think that you should choose quality over quantity and get the good shots that you need, and make it about the day and the family. Obviously, having amazing photos is amazing, but the same thing with bar mitzvah boys and bar mitzvah girls and any family shoot. If it starts to feel painful, maybe it's time to stop. But it always is good to get the extra photo, but you also have to have like a photographer that like comes in and just like, sometimes you just got to like take it and be done.
I love that. I love that idea, by the way, because a simcha has to feel like a simcha. If it feels like a chore or a job or a burden, something's wrong. Something's not going right. I really like that. I actually find that sometimes professionals are not as sensitive to it, meaning because as a professional, that you have to get. I have to get X amount of shots with X amount of family, and you're just. I just really like that idea.
Right. No, I think over the years I'm guilty of it too. Like, you want a family shot here and here and here, but you just take one good one or two good ones and then like move on to the rest of it, because you're all in the album. It's not about getting every single little angle. Like that's also why at a wedding you hire 3 photographers. So there's someone over there who's shooting other things that you don't know about. And I think it has turned into like a long photo shoot. So.
Talk to me about video. Do you offer video? Do you find that video is a different game? Is it different? Do you find that you're tripping over the videographer? Is it, or is it, are they actually? I don't know if is there within the industry. Is there some kind of like debate? I don't know.
So I'm actually one of the only wedding photographers that doesn't offer video in my packages. I say I don't want to worry if the videographer is in the right place. I want them to be accountable for their own work. I don't want to have to also go back and be the middleman between edits. And I always think it's better for someone to have a separate video so they can like be in charge and be proud of their work. Mm-hmm.
Even though business wise, it would make sense to have video as part of the Abbie Sophia brand or company. Okay, interesting.
So as much as I say that it's okay to have imperfection, I also don't want to be responsible for any imperfection. So, I have a lot of different people I can recommend, and they can worry about the video, and I'll worry about the photos. During COVID, there was so many live stream people that we were just used to like this big person in the middle of the aisle with live stream. And I do think we get in the way of like the actual, like in the chuppah, like you don't want to be looking at photographers all the time. At the same time, we have to get the shot. But I feel like video and photo, we need to be strategic in how we place ourselves, our lighting. It's also about, enjoying the moment, and everyone's trying to see the chuppah when all the photographers are in the way.
I agree. Okay, good. Mm-hmm. Right, so thank you for answering that. You're really one of the only ones that don't do both. I didn't know that, actually. I assume that there are other photographers out there like that who did the same thing. Will you ever change? You want to stay just photography, no video?
I'm good. No video. You can use my friends.
Okay.
It's not worth the extra, however much money it is. I don't want to be stressed about it. So.
Okay.
And it's better for the client. That's the most important thing.
it's better for the client, right? It makes sense. Yeah, and I find it's funny you say, because video, there's often a lot of imperfection, because there's certain video we don't want to see every, you don't need to see, the guests on their phones in the chuppah, or you just don't need. There's certain things I don't really want to ever see. Photography, you don't have to worry about that as much. So.
Well, you can just delete that photo. But I think one time I did a wedding and I had a video team there, and the person's like, "Why is that person in the video?" I'm like, "Well, they're at your wedding." So like, it's just so much that's up to
Okay. Okay. Any final takes? Abbie. So Abbie, you have a message for example. So you've been part of our paper. You've been in our paper. You've been an advertiser in our paper when you had a studio. I hope you'll come back to our paper one time, but that's okay. It doesn't seem like you need us, which is fine. Which is totally fine. Don't worry about it. I'm just saying, is there anything for our community, our readers, which are really your community, your clients, your friends, your neighbors?
This is what I said on my panel during Pesach, and I think it has a lot to do with fertility. Everyone has struggles. Don't come to someone's Simcha and bring your own struggles into it. As a photographer, as someone who went through infertility, other struggles in my life, it's easy to feel anger, and like if I'm doing a newborn shoot, like there was many times I was trying for a baby, or I just had a miscarriage, or but I never would bring that to my clients. And same, it's so easy to feel jealous and to not want to go to events, but you should come and you should show up and be joyful. And the more we live in this world where it's all just online and at your fingertips, we have to be present. And we're so lucky that we have these simchas. We're so lucky that we can be surrounded with people and music and dancing, and just leave everything at home. And
I love that message. That's beautiful. Mm-hmm. That's really beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for coming. This is great, Abbie. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Keep doing what you're doing for the next.
Thanks so much.
God willing, 10, 20 years. I don't know. Do photographers retire? Or do your knees do your knees like give out at after the age of 60? I don't know.
I started working out hardcore, so hopefully not. But another thing is I want to talk about Israel. And I'm really lucky that I was able to bring my photography to, like, during the post-October 7th, before October 7th, to be involved with any organizations I could that were helping Israel.
Any specifically? Any come to mind?
I don't know. Anyone who asked me, I was like, let me help. Anything to do with the hostages. I mean, also before that, also anything with infertility, anything in the Jewish community. And
I'm sure, and you still would do these things today, I'm sure, correct?
Yeah. But it was my way of giving back, and I was so grateful. I got to meet so many of our heroes. I did, after October 7th, I did free shoots for people returning from the IDF. That was so important to me to be able to look forward to those happy times, especially when they were fighting in the war, and then just knowing that they could have that photo shoot with their family. So a lot of people around here were in Gaza for many, many months.
I mean kids or families?
No, families, like dads, the shlichut.
Yeah, of course, yes, that's right, you're right. Mm-hmm.
So that was amazing that I'm so proud that I could be able to do that too and meet our heroes.
So beautiful, it's so nice. I like to always say, Kain Yirbu, just to keep it up, and you should be only able to continue doing what you're doing. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for being with us on the Jewish Link Pitch Meeting podcast. If you would like to participate or be in touch with us in any way, please email us at editor@jewishlink.news and follow us and find our podcast wherever you find podcasts.